Hey, it's Kevin from Pork Pie Hatters. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how should a hat fit and how to choose the right hat for yourself. These are two very, very commonly asked questions in this hat shop. Generally, a person will walk in, the first thing that they'll always say is, I love hats, I go to lots of hat shops, but I don't look good in hats. But maybe you could find something for me. Or can you find something that will suit my face? Um, Try a hat on. I'll ask them, how does it feel? What do you think? And they'll say, well, how should a hat fit? I'm not really sure. I have no experience. How should it feel? Now, that's a very subjective question. There really isn't one answer to that. There are different types of fits. Everybody likes a little different kind of fit. I would say a lot of the old timers come in, the old men, and they like a very tight fit. I don't like my hats to blow away. I like it really nice and tight. This is fine. If that's the way you like it, you want your hat to be secure. It can be, almost too tight for some people. The problem with that is a lot of times when you get to your destination, your restaurants, or your blind date or whatever, when you take your hat off, there's a big red line going across your forehead where the sweatbands, the inside right here, there's what they call a reed in most hats. Um, Sometimes it's a piece of wire, other times it's more like a nylon fishing line, but it's almost like a little circle, and there's like a wire in there actually. And if the hat is really tight and you're jammed into it, the red line is just so intense it won't really fade for not even 45 minutes, and it looks like the top of your head just screws off. It's just very unsightly, and it's kind of you're buying these nice hats to look good. Other people like their hats to fit oversized. Now, I do that. I like my hats really, really oversized. I don't wear it like a classic fit is generally above the ear. Obviously, you don't want your ears to flop over and push over from the hat. I like my hats way bigger than that. What I do is I tuck one ear inside, I leave the other outside, and I tilt the hat. I do a diagonal thing, so my head is actually bigger on the diagonal, so that makes the hat fit tighter for me. Plus, I just think it looks cool. It's just the way I've worn my hats for a while now, and it's my thing. A lot of guys come in here, they wear their hats on the back of their head, kind of like Boy George or some 80s sort of Breakfast Club kind of thing. Girls do that a lot, and it looks cool. Other people, they wear their hats like this. It's like a film noir kind of thing. What we basically do is we snap the brim down. We've got it centered to our nose, centered, and then you pull it by one ear. The whole hat is centered yet tilted. Okay, so you don't want to rotate it around so it's not centered. You want the hat to be this little pinch here, right in this center, going down the middle of your face. Snap the entire brim as far as you can go, and then pull it right by one ear like this. As far as you can, you get a more dramatic tilt. You don't want so much, that's fine. Getting back to a classic fit now. This is the way if a guy comes in with a nice haircut, a good fashionable short haircut, and he's dressed very well, he's got nice clothing on. He wants a good, really well-cut hat like this. He wants it to fit him like a well-tailored suit. So it really accentuates the look of the hat and just gives him a handsome, tailored look. You're looking more for a classic fit. What does that mean? Basically means the hat should be anchored at the temple, close to the top of the ear, not laying on the ears, but close to it. There should be a small space, maybe about as wide as your pinky. It could be half that, it could be twice that. It shouldn't be a lot, though. It should be, something like a finger's width, a pinky's width. The hat should come very close to the ear, not lying on it and not very high away from it. When a hat is too tight, it sits very high. It looks goofy. It looks, let's say, old-fashioned, conservative. Um, a lot of religious hats are bought this way. It's not a modern or a relaxed way to wear a hat. Let's say the classical way should be close to the ear, locked at the temple. Okay, so I'm about a size 59 centimeters, European size in this hat. This is my typical size. That equals a 7 3/8, or that would be a large. It's actually the top end of large. I go bigger. I don't usually buy a 59, I buy a 61. This hat is a 61. Now, why do I do that? Well, the hat itself, when you go too big, is wider, taller, bigger in the brim. Everything about it looks differently. It looks different. It's baggier. It's like if you're a 31 in a pair of jeans, you buy a 32 or a 33. The jeans have a different look, a different feel or vibe to them. They look baggier or more relaxed or more hip-hop. When you buy your jeans tight, they're scaled down, they're narrower, they're more tailored. Now, I don't really like the tailored look. I like it a little more, at least for this hat. I think every hat has to be treated differently. You try one size, you try the next. Now, there is a problem with a lot of people going between sizes. Now, what do I do if I'm between a 59 and a 60? I generally say don't take the 59. Take the size 60 and just have the hat salesman or technician or whatever tighten it up. You pick up the leather on the inside, you put something inside. I'll show you my green hat here. Right inside the leather, I've got this yellow piece of foam in there. Okay? That, it's making the hat fit more like a size 60. It's a 61 tightened up to about a 60. Now, if I wear a 59, it's gonna. This is the exact same model, by the way. The only difference is this model has black on the edge. This has nothing on the edge. But the cuts of these two hats are the same. It's the same model. It's called the Classico Plus. If I try the same hat 2 sizes smaller, it's going to have a totally different appearance. So here's your classic fit. Okay. This is the way a gentleman. The great, suit, he wants to look really fashionable. That's the way he's going to buy it. Now, for me, it's not my thing, but you're between 2 sizes, 59 and 60. We were talking about that. Generally, I say don't buy a hat too tight. Don't count on it stretching or breaking in. Go for the bigger size and tighten it up. It's just simpler. Now, that doesn't always work in every single occasion. Sometimes this man who wants this 59 tailored look, very sleek and streamlined, sometimes we go to the bigger size, it looks too baggy, and you're missing out on the tailored cut. You're not accentuating, getting the best out of this hat. So, what do you do? In that case, I recommend going with the smaller one, the 59, and stretching it. Stretching does work. It's very difficult. The problem is a lot of people who do stretches, they shrink back. I've corrected a few myself. The trick to this is you have to overstretch. So, if you're going to stretch it out to a 59 and a half, by the time you get home, it's going to be, again, a 59 again. So when you stretch a hat for somebody, you got to overstretch it so it actually feels big. It's going to come back, 20% when everything relaxes, cools off. And so when you put on that hat after it's stretched, it should feel actually a little bit big. Trust me on this. Trust me. Okay. Getting back to choosing the right hat. Now, a lot of people like a bigger fit. I'd say younger people definitely like a more relaxed fit these days. Ladies tend to buy hats a little bigger than guys, especially if you're buying a guy's hat. A fedora these days are 100% unisex. We carry a lot of colors like, burgundy and green, and a lot of them are for ladies, and they'll wear a little bit more daring stuff than guys. Not always, but the hats are essentially the same. For a girl, a lot of times, because of her height, sometimes we like to bring the crown down. Don't worry about that. You can always ask me if you're buying a hat to bring the crown down. It's essentially just tucking it into itself, steaming it, and just locking that to the down, position. We can lower the height, give you a more effeminate fit, a little looser fit. A looser fit will also cause the hat to sit lower. This 59 is sitting high because it's not able to go any lower. When I go 2 sizes bigger, I could pull it way down to the roof of the hat if I want. It looks lower. It's not as toweringly high. So choosing a hat, a size is very, very important. First thing to do is to get the right size. When you got your size, worry about the brim. The brim size is very, very important. That's the next thing. There's definitely not one brim size that's correct for everybody. There's more of a bracket. Now, I've got a 2.5-inch brim on now. I tend to like 3-inch. 3-inch brims are my favorite. This is something new for me, the 2.5, and my tastes are evolving now a little bit, where they're changing, where I like the 2.5 a lot. I'll show you how I look in a 3, just to give you an idea. Okay, well, here's a 3-inch brim. This is what I've typically been wearing for the last few years. Most of my hats are like this, a 3. It's a little bit more of a showier look, or like a pseudo rock star, or kind of a wizardy look or something. Depending on how you present it, you could do brim up. I feel like sometimes I have a lot of bushy hair that kind of sticks out, that I need more brim to just sort of balance things out. I also like a high crown. I just think it looks cool and very authentic. These are things you can experiment with. Now, every hat has to be judged separately. I like this 2.5-inch brim. I think my face looks fine with it. I also wear some 2-inch brims. Now, here's the 2. Sometimes maybe I tie my hair back, or I'm wearing a t-shirt. I want a little smaller look to balance things out, or something a little bit more subtle or laid back. Smaller hats are going to read more subtle, more understated. Bigger hats, generally a little bit flashier or showier. Colors, black can look very understated. Gray, muted colors. It really depends on your personality. If you want a real eye-catching hat, or if you want something very, very understated. I'm the guy who works in the hat shop, so I could get away with more stuff. But obviously, you don't want to be like, here's that guy. Has he got the hat? The guy with the hat. You don't want it to be the first thing that you see when you stare. When a guy walks in a room, there should be a good balance between hat wearer and hat. Again, your tastes will change. They evolve. Brims are very important. Once you get your hat size, say you figure I'm a large, or 7 3/8. When you go from there, you pick your brim. You find a brim that you like, then pick color. I figure 2.5. This 2.5-inch brim. This hat here is a great color. It's a great size. Maybe a green hat would not look good in a 3-inch brim. They all have to be judged separately. Now, the crown of the hat, the top part is just as important as the brim. Crown height is very important. A lot of people need more depth. Now, if you're picking a soft hat, your hat is going to flex with your head, and the hat will flex together. If you need more depth, your head will push it out. If you're doing something harder, a stiffer felt like this, if you don't have enough depth to the crown, your head will stop there like a roof, and you're not going to be able to pull it down for it. This hat is a very shallow crown, a 1.5-inch brim. I think it looks horrible on me. It's probably one of the most popular hats in here, and everybody looks great in this hat. It's a classic, what they call a stingy brim pork pie. It's not for me. I like hats that are soft, crushable. Every one of my hats are crushable and rollable. That's something that is a big feature here. We have maybe every hat on these 3 rows, every single hat, all of these, and these are all crushable. You can put them all in your pocket, as well as the 4 on the top. So, I don't know, 80% of the hats on this rack, at least, are crushable. The other wall, this is the Borsalino wall that you can't see. That entire wall over here is almost all crushable stuff too. So this particular shop has a lot of soft hats. You're going to pay a little more for softer felts. For a hat to be soft and to hold its shape, it has to be good felt. You figure for a, you're going to pick a wool hat, a wool felt hat, something soft, is going to be made out of something called light felt. Light felt is a patented type of felt. A lot of different brands use it. You'll see that logo. This is an $85 hat made right here in New York. It's totally crushable, 85 bucks. American made, it'll take rain and snow without dissolving and stuff. Of course, there are things to do. The hat has to be treated right after it becomes wet. There are ways to store it. You can see my other videos for that information. But softness is definitely an issue. Crown height is an issue. Some people need depth. They need height because they're taller. Some people need a low crown because they're shorter. If you're a short person, don't get a hat that's high. Obviously, it's going to look too high. Just looks silly, and it's going to make you look short. Now, if that's the only thing killing it for you, you love the hat, but it's high, you can ask the salesman to lower the crown for you on a lot of hats. Will they do this everywhere? No, but we'll do it for you here. It's a very simple and a standard adjustment, lowering the crown on the hat. It's almost like doing the cuffs or the length on pants. Everybody has different needs. We all come in different sizes and heights, so we all need different crown heights. So it's very easy. You tuck a crown into itself, it gets lower. Pop it out. We use steam, and we could adjust that for you. So yeah, crown height, crown shape, brim size, very important. Color, light colors. I recommend things like these nice grays. This has a little light blue, this gray. Colors like bluish grays, aquas, and greens are very good for somebody who's got green eyes. This is the only hat I actually get compliments on, probably because it's green and it looks good with my eye color. I recommend colors like that, aqua, turquoise, light gray for people with light eyes. It's the surefire way to do it right. Color like this. This is a hat by Phrenology. It's a custom-made hat. So it's like about $110. It's completely rollable and crushable. They're made here in New York, and it's got a cool taupe ribbon, kind of like an icy blue color. Again, somebody who's got the bluish eyes, it's a great hat for them. It's a good, just a good way to score if you're buying a hat for somebody. Black is tough. Black hats look great sometimes. Short brim black hats are, the rage in New York. They look very jazzy and kind of bluesy and urban. A black hat with a big wide brim can look like a religious hat. Sometimes that doesn't work. For some people it has a rabbinical look. This is great, if you want to portray this image. If not, stick with other colors when you're doing wide brims. Stay away from black. What else can I touch upon? I think black is a color that you have to watch with the wide brims. Generally, it's either going to look like a yeshiva hat, or it's going to look like a witch hat on a lady. So, watch wide brims plus black. Sometimes this look can be very edgy. Johnny Depp wears religious hats all the time. he wears them with horn-rimmed cool glasses and like facial hair and cool vintage coats. You know, that's a very cool statement. If you're you know, edgy and a little daring, you could go for it. For me, when I do a wide brim, I just stay away from black. Even though I dress in black like 90% of the time, I stay away from the black hats. This is just me. The best thing to do is run it up the old flagpole and try it. Try a wide brim hat in a light color, try it in a dark color, try it in something in a flashier color. Selection's what it's all about. If the place has 10 hats, don't settle for what they have. It's never going to be right. You need to go to a place with a huge selection. Again, I'm always here for advice if anybody needs my input. And choose wisely. A lot of these hats will be here for generations sometimes, and you'll be staring at them for years and years. So just take your time. Don't let the salesman rush you or pressure you. And take a few minutes, stand back, look at the image in the mirror, and just get used to it. Sometimes it takes 5 or 10 minutes to really see yourself in something new. You know, you get over the initial shock of seeing something new, and you relax into it. That's it. We'll talk about this more. This is Kevin from Pork Pie Hatters. Take care.